Well, hello and welcome to this next video in our series called Can the Bible Be Trusted?, where we're examining the credibility of the Bible. The evidence we're going to look at in this video is the fulfilled prophecy of the Bible. Now, this is important because there are many religious books and religious leaders who give prophetic predictions about the future, usually done as a means of trying to validate their connection to God and their legitimacy. But typically what we see are a couple different things about these predictions. Usually they are very vaguely written. They're very general, or they are given in such a way they could be interpreted in many different ways. And secondly, when those predictions inevitably don't come true, they have a way of just being swept under the rug. Well, the Bible is unique when it comes to this in a couple different ways. The Bible actually does have many prophecies about the future, but here's where the Bible is unique. One is the Bible has hundreds of very specific predictions about the future, not broad generalizations, but very specific prophecies about the future. And also the Bible is unique because it gives itself its own litmus test, which is 100% accuracy. The Bible says, hey, don't sweep false predictions under the rug. If a prophet is true, if the book is truly from God, it will be accurate 100% of the time. And in Deuteronomy 18, it says the penalty for a false prophet or a false prediction is death. And so you would assume that the ancient Israelites, knowing this, would be very leery of making predictions about the future and would try to have as few prophecies as possible. But the reality is they made hundreds of, again, very specific future prophecies. Well, here we sit thousands of years later. Now we have the opportunity to evaluate these prophecies and see how they did. Well, the current rate of accuracy for biblical prophecies is 100%. Whenever the Bible has given a prediction about a specific future event, it has come through 100% of the time. Now, yes, there are some prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled because they deal with sort of the end of time, the return of Jesus, and we know that is still at some untold time in the future that the Bible doesn't tell us. But wherever the Bible has given information about future events, it has come through 100% accurately. Let me just give you two quick areas where we have seen this. One is in the book of Isaiah. This is really interesting. In Isaiah 44 and 54, there's this prophetic prediction that someday, it says, a man named Cyrus will call for the city of Jerusalem to be built and the foundation of the temple to be laid. Now, this was an interesting prediction because when it was given about 700 BC, the city of Jerusalem had already been built and the temple was already standing there. So you can imagine how silly this prophecy must have seemed when they are sitting there looking at the city of Jerusalem and the temple, and so they must have thought that Isaiah was crazy. But here's what they didn't know. They didn't know that about 586 BC, about 100 years later, that the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar would come in and completely destroy Jerusalem and the temple. And they didn't know that 50 years after that, the Babylonians would then be conquered by the Persians, and that they would institute a leader named Cyrus, who would then call for Jerusalem to be rebuilt and the temple to be laid. So did you catch that? Isaiah predicted that a man named Cyrus, who wouldn't be born yet for another 100 years, would give a command to rebuild the temple that was still standing in Isaiah's day. So a pretty amazing prophetic prediction. Another just really interesting way you see this is in the life of Jesus. We won't look at all of these, but the Bible is filled with hundreds of predictions about Jesus, very specific things of what would precede his life and some of the events he would do, that he would come to Jerusalem riding on a donkey, he'd be portrayed for 30 pieces of silver, he'd be buried in a rich man's tomb. Amazing predictions that really demonstrate the validity and the inspiration of the Bible. And so some questions to ponder are, what do all these vast number of fulfilled prophecies teach us about the divine nature of the Bible? And then secondly, why would you trust a book that claims to be from God if it is full of inaccurate prophecies? Or why would you trust a religion whose leader gives incorrect prophecies?